3, 2, 1. Action. Matt, so thank you so much for joining me here on the Wrestling and Film Podcast. I am, as you know, but the world may not know, I'm an admirer of your work for many, many years. And we've been in contact and we have done interviews of some kind, of some form or fashion in the past, but we've never done it actually speaking to one another and where we can hear one another's voices. So this is a refreshing moment for me in terms of our relationship.
It is lovely. Yeah.
What I will kick off with is actually, I mean, for me, it's a big thing. To others, maybe not. But you basically kickstarted this whole podcast that I do because you are the man responsible for my logo, the Wrestling Film Podcast image that is displayed at the beginning of the video, end of the video, and also on the channel is due to your wonderful work.
Well, that's a massive honor. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just, I mean, as a side note, it was probably really no big deal for you because you've done so much work by that point when I asked you a couple of years ago. But when I did ask you and I said, hey, I've got this idea and I've got this picture, like, how was that for you? Like, was that any different for you? Or was it kind of just another day in the office?
No, of course it was there. Like any commission, because my stuff's not Disney and it's not colorful and it's not bright so whenever anyone asks me to do anything for whatever purpose or use, it's like I said at the start, it's a massive honor, but then I want to try and do something that would be of use and fit for purpose. So anything I'm ever asked to do is like a big deal. There's kind of never just a day at the office, or never an easy just a day at the office.
Yeah.
So no, it was an honor. So thank you for asking me to do that, and really a pleasure to do something for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I knew I would love the work that you did, and it's like it's almost second nature to me now when I look at it. But obviously, I remember at the time when you did it, and I was like, yeah, great job as always. And I mean, I'm like I said, I've been an admirer of your work for even before we kind of actually were in contact with one another. But when obviously once we had been friends for a couple of years, and I knew there was no one else I would even want to go to do it. And even though your work, you said, like I said, it's not very it's like Disney or colorful, there's a certain charm to that I feel like I think we get lost in the shuffle when we see things that are overly colorful, but because yours isn't, I think it stands out even more. I mean, I don't know if you've heard that before, but I definitely think that's the case.
Well, that's what I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for to be an acquired taste, I think, and a certain charm. That's the best I can ask for. It's got a certain
that you are. And also I go back to that thing you said, like you said, you're honored, like whenever anyone asks you to do something. And I have always loved that about you also, that your genuine appreciation is not that other people aren't, but you're so forthcoming with it. I really appreciate it, and it's really nice. So that's why, I mean, again, that I wanted to speak to you today, because on all levels, there's people doing great things in connection to wrestling, whether it's like obviously mine's a wrestling and film podcast, so predominantly we kind of go around in that realm of that collaboration of wrestling and film. But even this, like, so yours is obviously art and wrestling, but film, art, wrestling, it's so broad. There's so many, and they all sort intertwined, that even I still felt that this was such a cool thing to kind of explore. But I will rewind it back, because I've asked you this question before, but I've not in this format, so I'll do it again. What drew you to professional wrestling? So if we rewind back to a very young Matt Charlton, what drew you to professional wrestling? Is there like a moment that kind of sticks out in your head that like that was the time that it sucked me in?
Or going back. I mean, I'll always kind of come up with the same answer. Like I remember Saturday afternoons, I guess very late 1980s or very early 90s. They'd just taken off World of Sport and they'd replaced it with the WCW syndicated show. And I remember Vader and Sting and Johnny B. Bad as well, very, very vividly coming out. And um, just both me and my brother, you know, we're drawn to the TV and like glued to the TV because there was something like it's a cliche, but larger than life. I mean, and the heroic, like the pure hero coming through the screen, like Surfer Sting. I don't know, just the energy, and although that sort of dissipated as I kind of went into my early teens, you know, it's still something which you know, larger than life, and just went straight to the core of it. It was something that grabbed me, and it sort of clarified what professional wrestling was. And I don't know, affected me in a very direct way that sort of no other TV show or sport or anything else had done up to that point. Suddenly it was a kind of real life superheroes. And so there was this very vivid moment of awakening that this was a thing, and it was something which I liked, you know, and wanted more of.
Yeah. It's funny how I think everyone kind of talks about, I guess, I mean, I guess they would, but like that word you use, energy, like when we first are like captured by wrestling, it's
Mm,
always like like the vibe or the energy or whatever word you want to use seems to be the thing that more than maybe a specific moment people
yeah.
remember. Because I don't think I remember a specific moment. I think for me it's like a highlight reel in my head. I remember
Mm.
little things, but I do just remember the feeling and the excitement and how like enamored I was by it all.
That's it. I mean, it's just like candy. I mean, that first taste of sugar. It's like, well, this is an
Yeah.
entire world, and again, like completely unlike anything else that you'd kind of seen previous. And so, yeah, yeah.
Do you remember anything about that match? Or do you just remember kind of watching them come out?
No, I mean, I remember um, more kind of a promo that Vader stuck or did afterwards, where they were recapping the title match they had, and Vader had won.
Was that Vader and Sting? Was that?
This is Vader Sting.
Yeah,
This is it.
yeah.
And Vader had won, and he was putting over like how valiant Sting had been, you know, and how strong he was, how tough he was, and how he empathized with with this hero. I remember kind of like clips of you know, the Stinger splash missing and you know, Vader winning, and but just I know the impossible struggle. I remember how it struck me how strong Vader must be as a villain to, or how strong Sting must be also to mutually put over the good guy, your nemesis, to admire them in such a way, even though you just fought over a prize. And I don't know. Again, the dynamic, the dynamic of it's more than just good or bad. That was something that I had seen, you know, nowhere else up to that point. You know, it was all
Mm.
kind of cartoon villains. The baddies were baddies, and the goodies were goodies, and the hero won. Um, and so here you had the villain who'd won, but was admiring the good guy, and suddenly there were these kind of shades of moral gray which I'd never seen before, and a kind of depth of character that I'd never seen before. And so I don't know, no, for some reason that sticks with me.
Yeah. That's amazing that you thought of that in whether you knew it or not, whether you that's what you felt and thought at such a young age.
It poked a bit of the brain that had never been poked before. I don't know, and that's it. Whether it's an interaction you have, um, I don't know. Those are the things that stick in your head. Like whenever somebody says something in a certain way, and you're stuck trying to think, well, what did they mean by
Mm.
that?
Mm.
And that stays with you. Those are the things that kind of accompany the colors and
Yeah.
the other memories you got.
Yeah, I will say my thought process was definitely not that deep. And when I first saw it, I mean, the energy might have been similar, but definitely my thought process was much more simpler than yours. But that's why you are who you are.
A mess, man. That's why I'm a mess.
But to be fair, you saying those things now, even if you thought it then, but seeing your work now and seeing what you do and how you speak about the fondness and the love and the depth behind what wrestling is, it actually it all connects. So I'm like, it doesn't in some ways doesn't actually surprise me. I'm like, no, this has always existed within that. And now it's just being more, it's just showcased even more. But one of the things I will say, I mean, you and I know as wrestling fans, and it's arguably less of a thing now because wrestling's become so big. I mean, we literally just have come off of WWE debuting on Netflix. And
Mhm.
obviously it's another level of like exposure and acceptance, I guess you could say. Um, but wrestling has had a stigma forever and ever and ever. And people, it's kind of like the thing that people always like to chalk to the side, pick on, whatever you want to call it, for whatever reason,
Mm.
justified or not. What have you found like over your years as of your fandom that has been, do you think, like the biggest misconception of professional wrestling?
I don't know. I mean, there's an awful lot. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's misconceptions kind of maybe inside and outside the business of
Mm.
the I mean I suppose, I mean, the biggest misconception is that it's real, or not that it's real, but that it's a sport. I mean, and that the kind of typical thing to say would be that the misconception would be that it's fake and it doesn't hurt. I mean, it's more the fact that people still believe it's real to the extent that they go out of their way to tell you that it's fake or that it's false or that it's a lie. You don't find that with movies, and you don't find that with any other form of narrative storytelling. I mean, it's like we know it's theater and we know it's movies, but for some reason this idea persists in those people, then perhaps outside, or those people being derogatory towards it. They must tell you that it's fake. It's like, but there's no need to do that. You know, it is something in and of itself. You know, so maybe the idea is not that it's fake, but the problem is that perhaps it's still presented as a sport, or presented as a real competition.
Mm.
And then within the industry, I mean, there's a misconception that I don't know, like you meet people who maybe consider themselves again like mega athletes, and they will kind of miss the point of professional wrestling, or promoters who kind of consider themselves maybe mafia dons in the way that they carry themselves. Again, kind of missing the point of professional wrestling. It's an inclusive kind of family, you know, and a kind of a collection of all the arts all together. And so it's difficult to convey that. And so, I mean, misconceptions are sort of natural when you're dealing with something which is so kind of tangled up and messy, but then kind of presented in a kind of classical kind of sporting environment. I don't know. It's difficult to
Yeah,
get that
I
across.
I agree. No, I agree with you. I think because I mean it's an interesting question because obviously people have countless different answers, to be honest, and I'm always curious to get the another perspective on it. I mean, we've all had, I think, as wrestling fans, it's fake, right? And I mean, that's probably the most tiresome comment that I have to
Mm,
respond to, I guess. I think I find it less now because like the way wrestling seems to be accepted a bit more, or people
mm.
understand a little bit more. But I mean, forever and ever, that was definitely the one that was a bit exhausting to respond to.
Very much so. You know, very much so. I mean, and then I mean, it is the wrong word. I mean, it's not fake. It is what it is. And then you
Mm.
have to ask people, what do you mean it's not fake? It's like, well, they don't, you know, hurt each other. They don't punch each other. And it's like, well, we do, and they do, and it's just not a sport. It's not what perhaps you perceive it to be. And so by telling somebody else that it isn't something, you're expressing sort of your own misunderstanding of of what professional wrestling is. And professional wrestling is an art.
Mm.
And so to then say, well, it's fake, I mean, you don't say that about any other art form. So it's yeah, it's tiring.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, like you said, there's misconceptions in the business and outside the business. I think sometimes that's where the two can kind of, perhaps why there's that, I don't know, the reputation, because wrestling blurs the lines probably like nothing else ever has.
Mm,
Like there is no blurring of the lines of film. Like, Matthew McConaughey doesn't come on a talk show and then still act like the character he's playing in the film. And those kind of things, like it's a clear divide. Whereas
yeah.
with wrestlers, for the longest time, they still kind of there was a bit of a character on a talk show, and
Yeah.
we wanted you to believe that's real. And I guess maybe we did it to ourselves. I say we being we're part of this wrestling community. We
Yeah.
did it to ourselves in a way as well.
Yeah. I mean, because that's it. I mean, it's such a broad medium. And I suppose kind of comparing it to film, that's it. If you walk on set, it doesn't matter whether you're filming a comedy or you're filming an action flick or a, black and white drama. You're walking onto a movie set, and the thing with wrestling, because you need to carry it with you at all times in your heart to portray the wrestler that you wish to be. I mean, the lines sort of do inevitably blur between
Mm.
reality and the professional wrestling world.
Yeah, no, for sure. And obviously, your space in this crazy medium of professional wrestling has very much been obviously your incredible artwork and your contributions in that form to various projects, as well as your consistent, stunning, and very quick turnaround art pieces on social media as well. If anyone hasn't followed your social media, Instagram, Twitter, Shining Wizard Designs, I'm correct in remembering
Shining
that
Wizard
correct?
Designs,
Shining
yeah.
Wizard Designs. I love the name, by the way.
Thank-
That was the thing that caught me first when I saw it. I was like, oh, that's a clever name.
Excellent.
But like your, I mean, and it's so consistent. And like I said, that's been your contribution to professional wrestling in a big way. And it's something not to be undersold as well. It really captures things in a beautiful way. But when did that all start? So like, I'm assuming it wasn't always intertwined. The artwork wasn't always intertwined with wrestling. I guess maybe I'm assuming
No,
it was a separate love that
yeah,
kind of was
yeah,
born, and then
no,
eventually it obviously came together.
yeah. Kind of that's it. I mean, I'm fortunate to have wrestled and been a wrestling promoter, and kind of art always been there as a means of expressing myself. Like when I was a teenager, it was like drawing for like punk fanzines and selling pictures on the street. And when I first moved here, like I live in the north of Spain, so it was walking around and selling pictures to local galleries. Um, but when I started my promotion here, and it had a good run, and eventually ended up losing all my money and everything going disastrously wrong. I kind of figured, well, that's not the best way that I can contribute to professional wrestling, or the best way that um, I can be as a person is not what I should be. And it was at that point, one of the last things that I did here for the promotion was to bring over Johnny Kidd from the UK to lead a seminar, and he was having
In
retirement
Spain, was that, sorry?
in Spain. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. And he was having his retirement match with or one of his retirement matches with Mike Quackenbush, and he recorded a quick video with me, and then left. And then I thought I could do a quick portrait of him, and I sent it to him via email, and then sort of started talking about maybe doing a poster for his retirement thing, which put together. So I did a portrait of Quack and him, and they ended up selling it at the Shikara show, and making him and Quack, a decent amount of money, signing the posters. And suddenly I thought, well, this is a way where I haven't harmed myself, I haven't harmed anyone else, and I've made these two people some money. And so I started thinking, well, maybe this is a way that I can contribute in a kind of universally positive way to professional wrestling. And it's definitely worked out that way, and hopefully, and that's kind of the thing behind all the things I do. Hopefully, it's a benefit to the people who I draw, and that's always been the motivation.
Mm. I mean, I actually never knew that about the promoter side of things. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, if you didn't obviously by the sound of it work out as you would have liked, but I actually never knew that about you. That was once upon a time the
I
world in
lost
which
all
you
money.
occupy.
Yeah, yeah, no, because well, it was a wrestler. Both me and my brother were trained by Hammerlock, NWA, in the UK,
Yeah.
or affiliates. So we were in Coventry, and so we wrestled there, and he went over to Japan, and I came here, and there's no wrestling here, or at least there wasn't. Now certainly the Spanish scene is doing very well. Um, and so I went to visit my brother, and I did some things over there with some hobbyist wrestling promotions, and I came back and I thought, well, why can't I do that here? And so I kind of opened a school here and taught people here what I knew, and we ran shows in a converted church, and it was going okay, and then suddenly it wasn't, and and so yeah, that was a big part. And the promotion is still going. Like, it's Pro Wrestling Euskadi, and it's currently being run by people who know what they're doing. So so all good.
I mean, life experiences are a beautiful thing, but and also, even if we don't realize it at the time, that, I mean, maybe that had to happen for you to be where you're at now and doing what you are now.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Like, and it was a very bad experience. Like, the last show was awful, and it involved a lot of people who've gone on to do bigger things. Also, so Jimmy Havoc was there, Grado was there, and a few other people. But the awful show ended up with me going out in front of 250 people and apologizing in stuttering Spanish, and apologizing for everything that had gone terribly wrong. And I will write a book about it later, probably. But yeah, it was definitely one of those things where you had to when everything collapses, you have to look at yourself and realize, well, this is not what I should be doing, and this is not how things ought to be. And no, anything that pushes a change is positive, and anything that creates a change is positive. So no, I'm grateful for it, even though it wasn't fun at the time.
Yeah. No, I mean, and if anything, it sounds like that whole experience, from just knowing you, seeing obviously how you write about wrestlers and the industry as a whole in your books, it's actually giving you, it sounds like it's giving you more of a love for it, and actually more of a desire to do good.
I think definitely more of a desire to do good. I mean, exactly that, without any kind of it's kind of removing the ego from it, or removing yourself from it as a pod, or as a player. I think, because you're not. You can help things along, or you can introduce one person to another person, or you can say a good word about someone without having to put yourself over. And I think kind of in the world, yeah, of social media and podcasting and video essays and journalists, I mean, there is a desire perhaps to get yourself over as a character, and maybe that's necessary in order to make money from it and get people to invest in you personally. But yeah, I'm quite happy to have removed myself from that. And then that's always the sort of contradiction when you go on social media, and to be of any worth, you need to have people to look at your stuff. Then, in order to be of use to other people, you need to actually have value yourself. And so there is this odd contradiction where you don't want to put your ego into it, but you need to be loud and say, well, look at this, and look at me as a consequence, when it might not be what I want, and it's just really to direct the gaze of people to others.
Yeah. And that's what I quite admire about what you do, is like you're not a visual in terms of, you don't show yourself, but everything is through your artwork. But you kind of obviously let the work do the talking. And I think that's actually something that we could try to do more of.
No, that's it. I'm so sorry. There's no video today. Also,
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Haven't washed my hair, and no, I look like disasters.
But like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think. Like, there's a beauty to that as well. I think we're in an overexposed world now, and having that element is also a good thing. Probably for one's own sanity is what I imagine. That's probably a good thing.
I don't know. Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, but it's somebody, a friend Rob said it the other day, like somebody I hadn't spoken to for a while, and he deleted social media completely from his phone. He just said he was tired of playing the numbers game, and it's unfortunate that that's it. I mean, these aren't. And I was thinking, well, yeah, that's not what it is. I mean, the people who I'm writing to are my friends, right? They are my friends. So the people who I'm kind of asking, to work with, or the people who are asking to work with me, they're doing it because they like it, right? It's not to make money or not to be popular, but then it's kind of a reality of, I don't know, it's the reality of the world, unfortunately. We've become sort of so fractured. It's this sort of odd competing culture of sort of cottage industries, everyone trying to find a niche and mine a niche. And so there, kind of every relationship has become sort of mired in that. Well, why are you asking? Are you asking to get something? Are you asking to promote yourself? So it's
no, I think it's true. I think probably we're all guilty to it. I'm certainly probably guilty of it at times as well, but it's something I do try to be conscious of, that like, yes, of course I'm doing this for my podcast, I'm trying to get this gain, but I don't want to undermine or not show a lack of appreciation, because I'm incredibly appreciative for anyone who even gives me the time of day to speak to them. And I genuinely am interested to know what these people do, and even maybe help in some capacity if I can, if it gives them a tiny little window of platform or chance to say things. But yeah, no, I'm totally with you there. One of the things I wanted to touch on, and I know it was a special project for you, because of how I first got introduced to you was through your brother's book. So Chris Charlton, who's obviously now a wonderful commentator for New Japan, and obviously a wonderful Japanese wrestling historian who's done great books. He did a book in 2018, Eggshells, where he documented the various shows in the Tokyo Dome over the years. And you provided the illustrations for that. So I actually I spoke to Chris. Unfortunately, that interview didn't see the light of day for various reasons. Actually, it was for a publication that obviously now is not around. So the timing of that coincided with the collapse of that publication. So I didn't actually get to release my interview with Chris to the world. But it was a wonderful chat, and Chris was great. But through that, through the book, I actually saw your work, and then obviously saw your page, your Instagram, and then I was like, oh, this is fantastic. And again, it was the black and white kind of I'm not a great artwork guy, so my terminology is the best there, but like the kind of pencil-esque kind of like style of your drawings, it had such a charm to it, and it fit that book so nicely, especially the Japanese style. I don't know if it was just me, it felt like it really worked with talking about Inoki and these guys and having that style of drawing. But that, yeah, like I said, that was my introduction to you. Did you find that book was it just me, or was that book also like a catalyst for you in a lot of ways, where people saw your work even more than perhaps they previously had?
That's it. I mean, a lot of people did they kind of come to me and reach out after that. And obviously, like the book was very successful, and it was a big thing for him in terms of his journey. And I think, kind of drawing on a regular basis and doing whatever he asked me to do, and then reading the book as it was being kind of written. I mean, it was suddenly not so much an eye opener, but it was definitely suggested that there was a possibility there. Well, this is a thing. If my brother can do it, I can do this. And it was something that gave the art a direction, perhaps, that it hadn't had previously. And I'm very grateful for that book. I mean, looking back and kind of flicking through now, I think certainly my end, I was at the very beginning of transitioning from pencils and paints to liner pens and doing what I do now. And so there's definitely pictures in there, I think, I could do an awful lot better. You know, if we were to do an eggshells too,
Mm.
I'd be quite happy to do that. But I mean, no, I'm proud of the book largely because of what it led to for him, and no, it was a great experience to be a part of.
Yeah. Does that book probably in I can relate to this as well. I mean, because you worked with your brother and because this is a world and something you guys are so passionate about, and you brought all your love and your skills together and to kind of create this wonderful and successful project.
Yeah, no. Kind of it's always I think this is all the way over there, and I'm over here, and our relationship kind of goes in peaks and troughs, and sometimes we're good, and sometimes we're not so good. And it was yeah, just really good to be able to do something for him and with him, and produce something that again was of use for
Mm.
him. Like he funded it the publishing through like a GoFundMe page, and he ended up making an awful lot more than he thought he would, and so he ended up sponsoring, or the book ended up sponsoring Minoru Suzuki's 30th anniversary
Wow.
bash, which was on my birthday, and so I ended
Mm.
up kind of going over there for 24 hours on my birthday, presenting the book to Minoru Suzuki, and no,
Wow.
it's a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
that was yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So imagine, I mean, like all of us, Minoru Suzuki's like,
But
a
no, I
mini
mean,
god to us all in this wrestling space.
yeah, no. It was the day of the downpour, you know. So it was Suzuki against Okada. So to be kind of front row in the pouring rain, um, watching this match, which has gone down in history, you know, that was great. No, incredible, kind of otherworldly. And then yeah, back on the plane and back to reality, and here. So but it was kind of a good extraction. You know, anything's possible. You know, you're stuck in this routine, and suddenly it's well, why don't I make this move and do this? And what's stopping you? There's nothing stopping you. I mean, there's our needs and our necessities, and if we got that covered, and if we got a few days free, do something out of the ordinary, and it was very out of the ordinary for me. So it was
Yeah.
a great experience.
No, I love that, and what great advice as well. One of the things I will say in regards to you working with your brother. I mean, a couple of years ago, I did. I was privileged to do the Money in the Bank press junket when they came to London, like 2 years ago now, and it was wonderful. Like I hadn't done that before, and it was really cool to speak to Bailey and LA Knight and these guys, and it was really fun.
Mm.
But what made it so much better for me and even more special, and one of the most special experiences I've ever had, was my brother was my cameraman.
Oh,
And we've been fans when we were kids, obviously me more so than him, but like he's still a fan. And then he had such excitement, and I think he had excitement because obviously it was such a cool experience to be there as a fan,
yeah,
but I think he also had joy for me getting to do that because he knew how much it meant to me. And
yeah.
that whole connection and everything that went with it and it went so well. I think is probably still stands as one of my most special experiences.
That's beautiful. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's something I imagine still was probably something similar for you in that regard as well for eggshells.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's the thing. I mean, he doesn't need me in the slight in the slightest bit, you know. But I mean, certainly, I mean, anything that I could ever do for him, you know. And so it was just a good opportunity. I mean, to
Yeah,
be able to be of use to him. It's the only thing that I can ask for, you
yeah,
know, and the only thing I could want. So yeah.
yeah. No, that's beautiful. I mean, you're also what's beautiful is I think, and I'm going off memory here. I'm pretty sure you told this to me before in the past. Um, you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, of course. You said one of your biggest inspirations to do what you're doing now and the artwork and everything that you do, all the books, the J Crown books, and like recounting history and kind of obviously bringing it to life with your art. Um, you said one of the biggest inspirations is you want to immortalize and kind of like remember these wrestlers but especially kind of like the wrestlers who aren't the big stars and the ones who had the, let's say, WWE exposure and a kind of a ingrained in that like legacy.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the biggest things for you, is that you want to treasure what these guys did and what the moments they created, even if it wasn't on the global scale. Is
Yeah.
that still, if not the biggest driving force, but a driving force for you?
Yeah, I think so. And you know, I'd hope for the rest of my life. You know, I mean, that's you walk past kind of so many people throughout your day, and you meet so many people, kind of professionally, personally, in kind of any line of work, and it's you hope that the work you do is important, whatever it is. But then, you know, the people get lost to, you know, the memory. I mean, we forget people, and we walk past people, and we don't acknowledge that they're um, you know, the product of millions of years of evolution and their own, you know, private histories dating back thousands of years, and everything that has led to them being alive now and being special now and affecting other people. I think then to take a professional wrestler who is suffering for the entertainment of others, you know, going through this very noble um, process of producing this particular art, and for them to have their their passion and their sacrifice and their performances just lost or forgotten or brushed off as being, say, the opening match, or you know, the dark match, where, you know, everything in front of a live crowd, if you go to a show, from the dark match to the main event, everything is an act, you know. So you start with the dark match and you end with the main event. It's this cumulative process, and so the way you feel at the end is all a part of the lighting crew doing their work properly, the sound crew doing their work properly, the security being good to you, whatever. So if I could draw everyone in the building, I would, you know, and tell you, like, this person did this person smiled at you and made your day better. Remember that person. You know, so I mean, one of the big reasons why I don't touch, one of the many reasons, you know, why I don't touch WWE is because they don't, the performers there, whether I like them, and there are people there who I very much like, you know, but they don't need any help in that. They have a machine behind them, whose sole purpose is to elevate them above the ordinary. And I think, yeah, I think we all need that. We all need someone to elevate us above the ordinary. And so,
Yeah.
kind of, it's yeah, a major motivation to try and be, in some small way, that kind of use to people, or that kind of function.
Yeah. No, and that is a beautiful thing, and it's I think you told me that maybe about not doing, because obviously if anyone who's followed your work and sees your work, there's never WWE post. I mean, the closest thing I think you've done to a WWE post is I think you did a semi-recent image of Finn Balor and goodness, his tag partner. Why is his name eluding me?
I refuse to help you.
I know you. I should be. JD McDonough.
Yeah,
My
very good.
goodness. That was I should be ashamed. But yeah, like, but I mean, I think even that was you throwing it kind of back to the New Japan stuff and like the outside WWE kind of journeys.
Well, because I
Yeah.
mean, that's it. I mean, also in the context, they were coming back. They were in Dublin doing an anniversary show, so they were themselves going back to their roots. And
Yeah.
no, this is it. I mean, I have a very early memory of me and my brother having our heads smashed together by Fergal Devitt, him then apologizing to us and saying, "Sorry about that, lads," and then throwing us both out the ring in like a Hammerlock Rumble many years ago. And no, this is it. I mean, they have some incredible people working for them, some incredible wrestlers and some very talented people, very good people. But that's it. They don't need any help. There's a million people. I mean, this is it, the whole thing. There is a world of wrestling going on. Kind of the new book. And it's to wrestling is not this. Wrestling is not this very narrow definition or this very loud person over there. Wrestling is not just that. Wrestling is all of this and every shade of this. And yeah, it's just important to kind of take people away from the WWE, because there's so much money being spent kind of pushing you towards WWE.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, I am like a WWE fan first, but like, I can't deny that fact. Like, that's 100%. They don't need the like little me chiming in and giving more. I mean, I am a fan, but like, these other companies obviously don't have the platform that obviously WWE does. But you mentioned that your new book there's a world of wrestling going on. I mean, you kind of said it there yourself. Like, I guess the whole intention there was literally, there's not just WWE, because if we look at it, there's AEW, and New Japan, literally every other promotion besides WWE, you are like documenting in the book.
Well, no, but that's it. I don't even dent it. You know, I mean, I think in the book there's about 30 countries and hundreds of promotions, but I don't even dent it. You know, and I'm aware as the days go past. You know, there's this match happening in Puerto Rico, and I missed that, and so there's no Puerto Rico in the book, and that's kind of crime. And there's lots of other matches which we're aware of in far off destinations, and I couldn't get them in to the book because I couldn't kind of source the material in time or source the footage of the match to work from.
Yeah.
So the nature of the book being kind of a match every single day, I kind of had to keep moving, and I couldn't cover even a tenth of what's going on in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I struggled to watch like 3 shows a week or 2 shows a week, let alone what you were trying to do there.
Yeah.
I mean, I admire that, and I think it's, and again, I think it's a beautiful like almost quest to like spot like all of these things that like, I mean, even like some of the shows when I was flicking through, like when I was going through the book, I was like, I didn't know that happened. But I feel like that was a great thing. It was a nice discovery to like, I'm like, oh, that's like you fulfilled the purpose, and like, oh, you're opening me up to all these things that I wasn't even aware of.
That's it. I mean, that's the idea, and it's not just kind of a world of wrestling in terms of kind of global locations either. It's like the world of possibilities that exist within the medium. You know, so tried to get everything from the most unpleasant, hardcore experiences to comedy and technical goodness, and tried to get everything into the book, or at least as much as I could. And but again, I mean, the biggest regret is that you can't cover everything and accept your own limitations.
Yeah. But going back to like that thought there about like, obviously you wanna, your inspiration is to showcase and like kind of like, immortalize, remember these wrestlers and like the lesser, the bit like the ones who aren't as big of a names, I guess you could say. Is there ever a moment where you felt like, whether it was because of what someone said or they get posted somewhere, where you're like, oh, I achieved that? Like, because I think we all have these big goals, which maybe theoretically we don't ever know if we'll ever achieve, but there might be moments where we're like, I think I did it.
No, I want to say instantly, but then like thinking, say over the last year, I've been fortunate to have the work in this book kind of serialized in PWI. So every month they've taken a couple of entries and they put it in the back of the magazine. And one of the early ones was, it mentioned Jake De Leon and Filipino wrestling. And when that got published, a lot of people kind of reached out, and it was a major deal, to have Filipino wrestling mentioned in PWI. And I don't know, it was that was a nice moment to kind of think, well, maybe this does have a purpose. Maybe I'm doing the right thing here, and try to get as many people in and get as many people platformed as possible. Kind of before that, when I was drawing kind of Brian Keith a long time ago, and ended up working on his hat forever. And as I was working on his hat, it looks like a black halo. And I remember kind of writing to him like a promo about being the man with the black halo. And then kind of shortly after him adopting it and it becoming something which for a kind of brief moment before he became, the bad apple, something that could make him money. The shows were named the Black Halo, which is super cool, and kind of seeing that kind of real world impact of what I did. Again, it kind of gave it value or purpose, and I kind of definitely in those instances thought, well, this is of use, and this does have purpose.
It's the small wins, isn't it? Like it's kind of making sure you acknowledge the small wins, and that's a great thing as well. And like I'm glad, and then like I said, I think like from my side, you are accomplishing it, but it's nice for you to know, even have a moment where it feels like you are as well.
You definitely need, I think, some kind of reassurance that you're going in the right direction. Because I don't sleep much, and I'm sort of very conscious of being obsessive and twitchy. And so there's got to be a reason why I'm doing this kind of to myself. So yeah, I mean, you've got to have your eyes open and kind of acknowledge when things are going the way you want them to be going.
Yeah. No, for sure. And you did one project which was really interesting, called goodness, where it was the title, A Companion on a Road Less Traveled, where it was obviously you document 5 wrestlers and them reflecting on their journeys, their moments, or like specific moments in their wrestling careers. Obviously, please correct me if I butchered that description.
No.
And again, they are like wrestlers who were not the biggest of names, but are still names that still have done well for themselves, but again, not the biggest of names. Because of that purpose and your inspiration of like what you're doing this, did that project feel like extra special?
Yeah, no, definitely. It was great to do something with Jetta, who I've known for 20 something years. So we trained with Jetta a long time ago, and we came up together. And for her to be at that point in her career, and she retired last year, so again, I was happy to get her into this last book, like her final match. And no, Tom and Royce and Akari and Brian. I mean, they're all they haven't reached their end destination, and so that's it. What you were saying about them not being the biggest of names, I mean, I will tell them, and they will come and find you and hurt you. But, they're on their way to their own. They're on their own journeys within professional wrestling. I think that's good. And
I certainly meant no disrespect.
It's and like Brian, I'll never forget, like New Year's Eve, and he sat down and he kind of recounted the whole process of going to NOAH tryouts and it not going the way he wanted, and him kind of being a really low ebb, and then him just continuing, and his part in the companion book ends with him just kind of resolving, no, iron sharpens iron, and I'm going to keep going. And then for the following year, crushing it, and now he's signed with AEW and he's making money. And it's really interesting. There's no end to our stories, and so I was just very fortunate to be able to kind of put those 5 wonderful people and for them to share very personal kind of hopes and dreams and memories, and put them into that tiny little window. It's a short book. It's a very short book.
Yeah.
But again, it's like this very personal little diary. It's, I don't know, to give somebody an opportunity to do that. It's like this. I mean, I'm really grateful that you want to talk to me, man. I mean, it's really, really nice of you. and you get to put your words out, and maybe someone's going to hear it, maybe not, but it's therapeutic for yourself as well. And so, no, really, really glad that I could kind of give those five a tiny little platform, and also to be able to share that very personal side of people with the rest of the world. Because again, they're not wrestlers; they're wrestlers like as a toy, as an object. They're the human beings who have chosen this very particular art form as a means of expression, also as a means of feeding their families, and so I don't know. It was really, really nice process.
Yeah, and that segues perfectly into. I want to read a quote from your new book, which I loved, and I think it's. I guess it's not so much a question; it's more of just a. I'm gonna read it out, and you can kind of reflect on the words that you put on the page. I guess you could say. So, like cinema, like poetry, like music, wrestling is an art which inspires, and wrestling is an art which teaches. Wrestling is an art like no other at a time where it certainly feels like we are burdened like never before. It is no small mercy then, for whatever in one world might be going wrong, that there is still a world of wrestling going on.
It was beautifully read.
I love how you complimented me while I threw your words. I mean, was that just, I don't know, from the heart, I guess you could say? Because it felt that way.
Yeah, I'm deeply pretentious. I mean, yes. No, it's it's a blessing. I think we have a tendency to take wrestling like going all the way back to the beginning. I mean, not give it the credit that it deserves, not kind of honor the sacrifice these people are making, like with their bodies, with their minds, and they're doing it not just to make money. They're doing it for the love of it. They're doing it for us, and it's I don't know. There's this sort of remarkable sacrifice, and something that we need to be grateful for. Sort of we exist at a time when there is professional wrestling everywhere, and it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I 1000% agree. And one of the things you also did, which I selfishly, due to obviously what I love, especially that combination of wrestling and film, is you in the April 2024 edition of the Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine, you did a wonderful piece of art on the movie They Live, and Rowdy Piper's famous and a cult classic. And obviously, as we can see, if you can see my Funko Pop here,
Nice.
It's They Live. It's John Nada, Rowdy Piper from They Live. What was that one like? Because that's, I guess, I mean, that kind of goes against the credo a little bit of like, obviously, it was a much more well-known thing, but I guess it's also something that's so beloved from all wrestling fans, even film fans, because it's become a really popular film as well in history. What was that like to do that?
No, well, that was again, it was a great honor. I'd done something with PWI maybe a year before. They were doing a feature on like fantasy booking. And kind of for the year after that, I would sporadically write to the editor, Kevin, who's a wonderfully patient human being, with ideas for X, Y, and Z. I should do this feature or that feature, and would it be possible? And he then just kind of wrote back out of the blue and said that Mike, who works there, was writing a piece on like the 35th anniversary of the movie's release, and it was kind of a last minute thing. They were looking for an illustration, and it was up to me what I chose to do. And so, I mean, looking at the movie or remembering the movie, like one of the big standouts is where Roddy fights Mr. Keith David. Their fight scene where he's trying to make his friends see the truth and see what the world is really like, and so that stuck out for me, and so I put that piece together, and and it was always, again, like it was a commission, like a kind of special thing. And it's like I said right at the very start, always very nerve-wracking, kind of hoping that it would work out, and it really did. And it was yeah, it was a good piece. Kind of really happy with how it turned out, like nice and crisp and clean, and no, it went nicely. And I think kind of the fact that I was able to do it within a few days of them asking, then that led to them saying that maybe there was possibility to work
Yeah.
together on a regular basis, and then that led to kind of working together this year, which is again incredible fortunate.
Nice. No, it was so cool to see it. It did like I was just seeing it and you doing that, I thought was such a cool thing. And I mean, I love the film. I'm a huge fan of it. And at that and you picked that scene, which I mean was appropriate. I'm not sure if you're aware, and unless I'm remembering incorrectly, I don't know if it still holds the record, but I think that scene had like the Guinness World Record or something of like it was like the longest fight scene in like the history of film.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, again,
It
one of the
was
most memorable. So,
yeah, yeah. I actually even to kind of show how much of a classic it's become, I actually when I was in college and I was studying film, we actually one of our like terms was spent actually dissecting that film and studying that film and obviously all the layers and the meaning behind it all. So it just kind of goes to show the impact that it's had over the years.
oh, fantastic. I mean, that's it because we're living through it, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's vital.
Yeah, a bit scary that we are living through it. Um, Going off that though, I mean, obviously wrestlers. I mean, even especially today, there's been a history of wrestlers going into film, and now we're seeing more films about wrestling. Is there one kind of whether it's a film that a wrestler is in or a film about wrestling that kind of like sticks with you and is like your fondest memory? Because I know even sometimes people have had like guilty pleasures, like a Suburban Commander with Hulk Hogan because they watched it as a child and there's nostalgia. Or obviously you've got more high quality ones like They Live, shall we say?
Clearly, clearly. No, well, Beyond the Man, I think
Yeah, yeah.
it came out at this very impressionable time in my life. I remember also when I started training, because I'm fortunate to have grown up in Cambridge, and lots of little art, or there were lots of little art cinemas around town. And I remember seeing the Ricky Dozan biopic,
Mm.
kind of a Japanese movie. I don't think it got any kind of international release, but it was part of a film festival. And the tragedy of this man's life, how his success overtook him, and the Ricky Dozan biopic kind of really sticks with me.
Mm. Yeah, no, actually, I did actually know that was a thing. So that was actually something I may have to dig out and see if I could find.
Check it out. No, it's
Yeah.
a beautiful movie, deeply tragic,
Mm.
incredible fight scenes as well. I mean, it's beautifully, you're very visceral. I mean, wrestling in the realist sense, and it's
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I actually I'll definitely I look into that. I didn't know about that. So that's always kind of cool to know. I like to figure out how I find these hidden gems, shall we say. Um, you've had obviously, well, like we touched on earlier, you've had the good fortune of obviously interactions with wrestlers and wrestling's also kind of commenting on your work. Is there
mm.
one that stood out more than any other, or one that maybe caught you off guard the most that you didn't expect, where they kind of complimented the work that you've done?
Um, no, no. I mean, I'm grateful for anything, and kind of anyone who sees what I've done of them, and then kind of recognizes that it's come from a kind of pure place, and then enjoys it in a very authentic way, like Tom Lola, like after his appearance in the G1 a couple of years ago, I drew him with Okada, and he during the summer like printed out like, dozens of copies of it, and he was coloring it in with his daughter over the summer. And I like that's coming from a very pure place.
Yeah.
And there was a time a couple of years ago we got evicted, and things were not great. And kind of Bryan Danielson, through his management, kind of bought a picture, and I kind of said, well, it's you, so you have the picture, and it's for free and it's for nothing, and take it. And he kind of again went and paid way over what he ought to have done and what anyone else might have done, and he really helped through a very difficult time. And so I think again that's it, when you like certain people based on sort of a spark that you see in them, and you kind of hope and think that they're good people, because you can never really tell. And
Of course.
then when they actually kind of come out, and there's like this massive sense of relief, it's like, oh, you are a wonderful human being, and it's not an act. And it's and so there are people like that, like Rocky Romero and Chris Hero and Danielson and Lola, and I don't know, lovely people who are, I don't know, who have suffered immensely to get where they are, but then take the time to, without ego, without any sense of self or self-promotion, to be helpful and to recognize, you know, whatever scratchy stuff that I've done, you know. So I mean, it's all appreciated.
Yeah. No, that's an incredible story, man. Like I didn't know. I mean, as a fan, I've never met Bryan Danielson. Obviously, I'm a huge fan and I've followed his career, but and he seems like a awesome guy. But to hear that is that's incredible.
And then on top, well, I mean, again, it kind of dealt with his management. It was like, well, no, he wants to buy this because he wants to give it as a present to Regal. I was like, yes, all of this is good. So,
That's amazing. I mean, you obviously you've done a lot of different projects, and I'm sure, as you know, you've kind of alluded to, your mind's constantly clicking, and you always have these ideas. If obviously nothing, there's no, like, say, nothing's off limits. We are. It's what's the dream project? What's the, like, if is there an ultimate, like, this is the pinnacle of what I would want to do?
yeah, kind of too many really to mention. I mean, I kind of professionally, I suppose anything that would allow me to keep office hours and to do this from 9 to 5 without having to worry about kind of real work, and then kind of doing this and going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and getting up at 6 again. Or is there anything that would allow me to do that? But I mean, creatively, like I did start before said eviction years ago. I did start drawing everyone who had wrestled for New Japan and you know, ever. And I got up to 1976, and then
Wow.
and we got addicted. So it was only 4 years, but still there were plenty of people. I'd like to do a fully illustrated cage match. You know, everyone who's on Cage Match, I'd like to do them. You know, but there's, you know, again, practical concerns. You know, you're not able to do these things, and it's accepting your limitations. Kind of trading cards. I'd like to do trading cards. Kind of last year, alongside this book, I was kind of fortunate to do a wrestling tabletop game,
Nice.
kind of stuff which will be coming out kind of later in the year. I don't know. No, I want to be useful. I mean, so anything that I can do that would be of use to people, or to help people kind of progress their own careers, then that would be perfect. You know, I mean, I've just started something with Dr. Jonathan Foy, which would be out in 2026, and I'm, you know, enjoying where that's going to go. And a couple of other requests for book work have kind of recently dropped into my email. Like the history of Yoshi wrestling, and no, really, yeah. I have no dreams other than just to keep doing this, or to be able to do this. And for this work, again, to have a function in that it's useful and positive to the people who see it, or are a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a brilliant dream, and I hope, and I'm sure that will come true. I have just two final questions, Matt, and then I'll let you go. This is obviously always a hard one, and probably for some quite an annoying question.
Don't ask me
What's
hard, annoying questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's my job apparently.
All right.
Favorite match of all time? Do you have a favorite match of all time?
Oh, No, because
Or you could go a couple. You could mention a couple, maybe. Don't have to pick one.
no, no, without kind of sitting down and thinking, it would kind of be unfair. My brain, no, my brain has gone blank. My brain has gone blank. No, no, man, I can't answer that one. I'm so sorry.
Is there one that pops in your head though when I say that? It does. It may not necessarily be your favorite, but one that popped in when I said that question.
Yeah, I mean, it did actually, and um, with her retirement coming up, Maiko Satomura
Mm.
and Akira Hokuto and this is a pronunciation's a thing. It's like no, no. But their Gaia match where they just kill each other, and it makes Miko as she just doesn't back down, doesn't take anything from the veteran. No, it's just brutality, pure brutality. It was the first thing I went to.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I can see how that, like, especially if you're being there live, how that could stick out as well for you. And the other annoying question, I'm sorry, um, is do you have, I won't say favorite, but do you have, for one reason or another, a piece of artwork that you've done that might stick out to you, or has kind of stands the test of time for you a little bit?
No, no. I mean, I think kind of recency, like bias towards what we do recently. I mean, I look back at most of my stuff and I'm ashamed of it, or not ashamed, but there's always a case I could have done things better, or I don't know. It's kind of everything and nothing, and it's the same with the favorite wrestling match. I mean, I do like the book which has just come out. I got my own physical copy came through yesterday, and I picked it up and flicked through it, and I was like, yeah, pictures look good here. And I think for now, I mean, because it's the most recent thing. Yeah, there's a world of wrestling going on. It's my from beginning to end favorite piece of not art, because I'd never call myself an artist, but I mean, I think this particular project is like the first time I've done kind of art, because it's sort of my life with it's been a year's worth of work, and it's been a year's worth of trying to juggle the production of this thing and consume the wrestling behind it. And I don't know, it's the first thing that I've done that might be considered art. So it kind of as a result of that, it is my favorite piece of art that I've done, because I think maybe it's the only piece of art I've done.
That's, I think you're being harsh on yourself there. You've definitely got a lot of good art, a lot of art over the years, and a great art. I don't know if I could pick a favorite, but maybe it was my perhaps recency bias a little bit, but also sentiment behind it and my fandom. The retirement image of Sting when doing the Scorpion on the Young Bucks that he did. I enjoyed that a lot, but maybe because it was also not to say it wasn't a great piece, it was a great piece, but the emotion behind it as well. I think that was a one that stood out for me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, again, kind of going back, he was kind of part of
Yeah,
kind of what got me into it. Then to be able to get him kind of on his retirement into this book was, yeah, it was a nice coincidence. I'm very fortunate to have been able to do that.
it's kind of a crazy and beautiful, I don't know, full circle moment, if you will, as well.
Yeah,
That's what started it for you, and we're here
but
with this
that's it. I mean,
project.
that's it. There's kind of no end to. I mean, to go full circle means that, yeah, you're done. I mean, but that's it. It's just continuous roots and continuous kind of intertwining of lives, and we kind of go off into the ether, and we kind of keep kind of twisting around each other like smoke. And it's kind of cool that people come in and to your life, and they go away, and then they come back again, and they're different. You're different.
Yeah.
And so it's that. And so there is kind of like this sort of obligation, or to kind of keep your eyes open and to remember these things and to write these things down and to draw it, to carve them into stone somehow, and to kind of hold on to the important stuff.
Yeah. No, and then I will end it there, Matt. I mean, thank you so much again, man. Like I said, we've known each other for a couple of years now, but it's so great to actually have this kind of sit down conversation and just to even know so much more. I didn't know, I guess, maybe in half the stuff that you've said today. And so it's great to learn. And I'm always just an admirer of people on all levels, just doing what they love and kind of bringing forth incredible art and, content in this space of like wrestling and film and, the arts. Yeah, it's just beautiful. Thank you for doing what you're doing and keep doing it, man.
Oh, thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for taking the time and for talking to me. And I'm sorry if I was a bit jumbled back there. And
No, it
I
was
hope
fine.
it went okay.
I hope it was all right for you. I know you said this is not your forte, like to do stuff like this, and so I appreciate you doing it. But I hope it was smooth.
Oh, you're a great man. Yeah, it's been lovely, man. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.